Look at this painting and tell me what you see. A man, lions, a den of stone. You probably assumed the man is facing the lions, standing his ground, staring them down. That is what courage looks like, right? That is the image you have in your head when someone says thrown to the lions. Now look again. His back is to them. Daniel is not looking at the lions at all. He is completely turned away from the most dangerous creatures in the room, and he is looking up toward a voice coming from somewhere above the stone walls. That is the moment Britton Riviere decided to paint. Not the confrontation, not the standoff, the morning after. The moment when a king who condemned his own friend calls down into the pit, desperate to know if there is anything left to answer back. And there is. That detail, the turn back, is what separates this painting from every other version of this story ever made. And most people who have seen it never noticed. Here is what you need to know about how Daniel ended up there. He was a foreigner who had become the most trusted advisor in the entire empire. His rivals at court, the ones who had watched this outsider climb above them their whole lives, decided they needed to get rid of him. They studied him looking for weaknesses and found exactly one. He prayed to his God 3 times a day, every day, in front of an open window. So they engineered a law. For 30 days, no one could pray to any god except the king. Anyone who broke it would be thrown to the lions. Daniel knew exactly what the law said. He went home, opened his window, and prayed 3 times. As always, King Darius, the man who had signed that law without seeing the trap inside it, spent the rest of the day trying desperately to find a legal way out. He found nothing. At sundown, Daniel was thrown into the pit. Darius went back to his palace, refused food, refused entertainment, and could not sleep. At the first light of dawn, he ran to the pit and called down, "Daniel, servant of the living God, has your God, whom you serve continually, been able to rescue you from the lions?" And Daniel answered. That is the exact moment Riviere painted. Not the night of fear, not the miracle in the dark. The answer. Now look at the lions. They are not tame. Riviere was obsessive about this. He spent hours at the dissection rooms of Regent's Park Zoo, studying the internal structure of big cats, understanding how their muscles connected, how their bodies moved under their skin. He kept a dead lioness in his studio, not as a trophy, as a working reference. He believed you could not paint an animal honestly unless you understood it completely, and understanding it meant going past the surface. In an interview published in the 1897 Chums Boys Annual, he said it directly. The only way to bring real truth to wild animals was through accumulated study and deep knowledge. You could not genuinely paint an animal unless you genuinely cared about it. So when he painted restrained lions, he painted restrained lions that looked like they could kill you. The tension is there. The power is there. And yet something is holding them. That invisible something is the center of the painting. And it is also what made one of the most unexpected fans of this work completely obsessed with it. In 1895, a woman named Mary Baker Eddy received an engraving of this painting from one of her students. She wrote back immediately, "I thank you, a million times I thank you for that wonderful picture." She hung it in her library, stood in front of it, and prayed. And when members of her household were struggling, she would bring them into that room specifically to look at it. When she moved to her final home in Chestnut Hill, the engraving went with her, placed on the wall directly opposite her bed. It was the first thing she saw every morning. She explained why. In a conversation recorded by one of the people who lived with her, Eddy gathered them in the library and talked the painting through. She pointed out that Daniel had turned his back to the lions and was giving his answer upward. And then she said, "He has turned his back to the lower or bestial elements of mortal mind and is giving his answer to the king, to the highest. And that is what I have always done." For a woman leading a religious movement through decades of public attacks and personal battles, that was not a casual observation. That was a survival strategy painted in oil on canvas. Now here is the detail that reframes everything. Riviere painted 2 versions of this story. In the other one, simply called Daniel in the Lion's Den. Daniel is facing the lions directly. That is the version your brain produces when someone says the words lion's den. The confrontation, the stare down. Eddy chose this one, the one where he is turned away. There is a reason the turn back is harder to understand than the confrontation. Staring something dangerous down still means you are thinking about it. Turning away means you have already decided it is not the thing that matters most in the room. Riviere understood that. Eddy understood that. And the painting has been quietly making that argument for over 100 years, in museums and engravings above beds, in art books that most people flip past without stopping. So go back to the beginning. A man in a den of stone. Lions that could kill him and do not. A shaft of light finding him specifically in all that darkness, and his back turned to everything that should terrify him. His face lifted toward a voice, asking the only question that matters, "Are you still there?" He answers. He was always going to answer. That is what Riviere painted, not the miracle. The posture that made the miracle possible. And now that you know what to look for, you will never see this painting the same way again.